really hope that this turns out to be something which right up my goal, when I was designing the session was right after the session, can you start using and adopting some of the things which I have to tell you because these are all available public tools. Most of them would be for free as well. And the goal is, and I've been doing this workshop for a very long time now. It's been almost 2 years that I've been really neck deep into AI. We have a very large community which we run on AI, where we keep tinkering with this thing. So my goal is toward the end of the session to, give you some stuff which you can right away use at work for personal productivity. So let's see. I will just share my screen once more, and I will, I think, go off the screen so you can just focus on what I have to say and not my face. Okay. So this is how the flow of the session will look like. Um, First of all, I like to say a little bit about why we are here in the first place, the context of having such open house sessions on spreading AI literacy, why it is so primary, of so such primary importance in today's time. Then straight, probably 5 minutes there, and then straight into lots and lots of demos of AI tools. And here I will try to put in as many of the social context which Siddhi and Prerak had helped me with. So we'll be focusing on that. Then bit of discussion on what it really means today to be a knowledge worker in an age where we see almost on a daily basis, which is something that I keep saying because it's true. One example I can give you is that yesterday I was up till 5 in the night, which was morning technically, testing out this amazing new tool which has come up. And probably you would be the first in India, so to say, if you are not into tech, you'd be the first in India to witness this tool, which is, in my mind, the smartest tool that has ever been made, much smarter than ChatGPT, the four latest version as well. So we'll do a demo of that as well. And I was literally shocked all night when I was testing that tool. Then we'll also do a demo of some creative tools which you can show off to your friends and family. And typically, this is a fun way to learn AI as well. So we'll get into that. The fifth part is something which I value a lot because for me, in the last couple of years, AI has really helped to look at my own knowledge gaps and help me become a more critical and a more deeper thinker, which is something I believe cuts across every kind of profession, be it profit, non-profit, and anything that you do. I mean, it's very surprising that this kind of tool is now publicly available, but unfortunately, not much is known about it, which is one of the core reasons, why I'm doing this entire campaign around AI literacy and why I believe everybody should know about AI. And then we'll also close with some best practices on what are the ways in which, because right now this entire session is about your ability to talk to a computer in ways that you have never done before. So this is something super new. This didn't exist. Let's say 6 months back, this workshop would not have been possible. So this is all super new territory, but something which is of primary importance to all of us in our practical lives. Also, do feel free to ask questions anytime during the session, because I happen to have a stronger engineering mind than verbal mind. So if you ask me questions, I'll actually be able to communicate much better. So if you put it in the chat, Prerak, I'll request you if somebody puts a question on chat, if you can kindly read out to me because I'm on full screen. So that will be super helpful for me. Let's start with this in terms of setting the context. If you know, some of you know this gentleman. In fact, I understand in the social sector, he's a very well-known name. Karl Popper, a philosopher, but at the same time had some extremely important and powerful views on what it is, uh, what does it mean to think scientifically. And I think this entire concept around scientific thinking is what has led to the kind of progress that we see in AI. We call it an exponential progress because of the way it is growing, and very crucial for us, those in the social sector, to go about AI, because go about AI in this mental model, because I see a lot of hype around AI in the media. I see both kind of narratives. One very negative, dark narrative about AI taking away job from people, AI just being a shiny new tool which really is not worth much. That is also there. At the same time, there is also the other narrative where it's saying that AI will change people's life. Because I deal with AI in a very practical way in building solutions to actual problems. For me, the exposure is obviously on the positive side. But let's start with this very framework in our mind that see, scientific thinking is all about can you falsify something, which is what Karl Popper had said. Uh, that for every scientific theory, uh, initially it will make some prediction, and then if you can prove that theory to be false, that's how knowledge moves forward. That's how things expand. That's how new knowledge is born, right? So what we will do is we will take this very simple hypothesis, and before going to that hypothesis, I will like you to listen to a gentleman called Greg Brockman. He is the president and co-founder of OpenAI, and he has something very important to say, which can serve as the hypothesis on which we will work throughout this workshop today. And even later, when you start using AI on your own, there are certain theories which AI is promising. Let's first see what the hypothesis is building here. And this is only in the area of education, but this can obviously spread outwards in other areas as well.
Well, for me personally, I've always felt like one of the motivations for building AI systems, for trying to build AGI, is to get everyone a personal tutor. Like, I think many people have a story of that one teacher who really understood them, who helped them achieve and get excited about a subject. And you just imagine what would happen if everyone had access to such a tutor 24/7 who can really understand them and motivate them. And I feel like that is so aligned with what Khan Academy is building, and the potential that you want to unlock in every student. And so it was just like when we realized maybe we can actually make a dent in education, maybe this could be applied there. It was so clear that the Khan Academy was the first port of call.
Okay, so here it's very clearly laid out, right? What he's saying is that with AI, we can build a personal tutor for every student in the world. And when he says the personal tutor, it means a tutor who would be available for the student 24/7, customized to the student's requirement. So we are talking about incremental education here. Uh, the AI understands your IQ, your capability, and then slowly builds up for you to learn further and better. All of you who are part of the education sector inside the larger domain of social work. For you, I mean, at least because my own personal interest in education, I know that this is literally the holy grail. This is the highest that we could have dreamt of when it comes to education. That how do you really understand somebody's learning needs and then incrementally, slowly keep filling the gaps in that knowledge. So this is a hypothesis that we are taking here, at least when it comes to the future of education, because we know that this education doesn't exist today. This kind of technology is non-existent because right now we are talking about large schools where student-teacher ratio is not that great, and it's more of a mass education than a customer's education. So let's take it as a hypothesis, and through the workshop, let's try to see that can we falsify this, or other way around, what are the AI capabilities which shows that whatever Greg is saying, just how much of it is true, how much of it is hype, right? So we'll try to do that, and obviously this can be extended to any other area of knowledge, and it can be extended to livelihoods, it can be extended to health and gender and environmental studies, climate action. And I understand that while you filled that form when you were attending this particular workshop, and you had put not many questions, and the good part is you all come from different areas of social impact work. Uh, so what we will try to see throughout the session is for each of those areas, where does the relevance come? What are the areas where things are actually being solved rather than just being uh, let's say put up as a promise which probably is not true. So we'll work from that hypothesis here. To put it a little more concretely, succinctly, uh, AI, it is being promised, will lead to the creation of a 10x student, a student who is 10 times more effective in learning things. Also a 10x professional, that you'll be able to do things 10 times faster, or in the scope for your work would be 10 times greater. Let that be the hypothesis that we test throughout the session. Um, Another very important thing to keep in mind before we jump into the real demos of the different tools which are available is this fact that this statement was put by William Gibson in his book Neuromancer. He said the future is already here and just not evenly distributed. At least from where I see it in my last, so I've been studying AI for 6 to 7 years, very closely. Last 2 years, I have been sort of really into the foundational part of it, actually building stuff using AI. So for me, it's quite apparent. We'd also try to see, and this is also one of the core reasons for this workshop, that through this kind of a dialogue, can we share the knowledge which is available now publicly? And one of the most beautiful part of AI is one of the biggest chunk of the community believes in open source learning or open source sharing of data. Can we utilize that, and help increase the distribution of whatever we have at hand? So these are the set of tools which I will be giving you a demo of, starting with custom GPTs for social enterprises, and then going on to tell you about the different kind of LLMs which are available today. I'll also show you a very amazing offline LLM built by Meta Labs, which is Facebook, which can sit in your computer and which can you can interact with, and you don't even need internet for that. I'm not sure again that a lot of people know that this kind of technology is already here. And this is for free, by the way. This is an open source software. It's absolutely for free. Most people I talk to do not use this, are not aware of this. So we'll do a demo of that. Then the all the tools which you see highlighted in yellow, these are tools which are gold standard tools for doing research. My claim is that these tools taken together can reduce the time of your research from, let's say, if you spend 10 hours doing something, now you spend 1 hour. That's the kind of, it's a big claim. I'm aware it's a big claim because, I have also spent a good solid 1 year in qualitative research. So when I say that, this is a 10 times reduction in the effort, I also know the background to it, the kind of effort which goes into doing this kind of research. So let's try to falsify it, so to say, right? Not prove it, but falsify it. That's the right way to go about things. Then I will also show you a little bit into, all the LLMs which has also gotten into integrated into Google Docs now. Even in fact, in if you some of you are using Microsoft Office, so I have access to Copilot and I can show you a little bit of demo of that as well. So and in fact, if I were to give you all the demos here, this itself will take easily 2 hours. So what we'll try to do is we'll do small sampling of each of these. And what I will love to do here is utilize the amazing questions which Prerak had shared with me, because these are specific to social sector domain. So let me pick up the first one. I realize I have had a lot of too much talk right now. So let's just get some actual work done. So this is a tool which I'll be using to make a presentation using AI, and the topic that we'll have is impact of climate change on public health of vulnerable populations in India. Okay, so there are several tools for this. The one which happens to be a public favorite, crowd favorite, start with that, is something called Gamma. It is designed specifically to make presentations and websites. But then this is not the only one. I mean, we have so many more tools available now. But let's start with this. Just a minute, please. It's taking a bit of time. Okay, so what you do here, and this is something which is pretty general to using any kind of AI tool, whether be it Gamma or all the 10s that I've mentioned about. So you normally, and this is the most popular word these days called prompt engineering. It essentially means how do you talk to AI, right? It's you just need to use simple, logical, clear English to be able to convey your thought to the AI. So this one tool here, so as I tell you, it helps you make presentations, website, document. So let's say I do a 15 card presentation, and then I paste this here, which says the impact of climate change and public health of vulnerable populations in India. But as you see, this is a little broad in nature. This is a very I'll say broad set question. So let's also refine it further. So we can put it something like impact of climate change and public health of vulnerable population in India uh, in the last 5 years. And I'd also say, take up the role of someone who is an expert in the arena of climate action. And I'll tell you why I'm doing this. See, essentially, LLMs are trained on all the available data on the internet, and perhaps those books which are digitized and it has been fed on that. That's the reason why it's called large language model. It's been fed on a large amount of language data, right? So when you specify what area you want it to focus on, then it just goes and focuses on that narrow band of, and the more narrow you can get it, the better, right? In fact, there are some tools which also have access to the internet. For example, ChatGPT has access to internet, Gemini has access to internet. So when you chat with those tools, what they will also do is when you specifically ask that you go to the internet and search for particular information, it will then also specifically go and do the task. And why this I find a bit difficult for most people to understand is that we are too used to using Google, just asking a question. So we use LLMs also like Google, which obviously gives us little weak results. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But anyways, so once you start here, you have given it this prompt. So the first thing it does here, unlike a chat GPT, which just gives you an answer right away, it is sort of gives you a framework to think further. Okay. So you asked it to create a impact of climate change in public health. So what it is doing now is it is telling you that these are the broad outline that I am thinking of. So introduction, the urgent need to address climate change, an overview of climate change in India, vulnerable populations in India, then heat waves and extreme temperature, etc. So it is going on telling you these are the subsections. So and right away here we can introduce the concept of this co-pilot for your mind, which is the big mental leap which we as professionals need to take when working with AI. That AI is not something which can give you all the answers. AI is something which can work alongside you as an aid to your own intelligence, and then together you can create magic. So, for example, let's say for the sake of this just demo, I'll go ahead with this outline which it has given. I have a choice to change any of it. So here, when I do continue, and then it will ask me to pick what kind of presentation style do you want it to be. So again, let's take something here, and again, you'll have a choice to make it look different or style it the way you want. The moment you do that, then it starts creating this presentation. And here it is able to do using text and images at the same time. So these are the slides which it is creating. It will be able to take up the different kind of images which suits this particular presentation, with you having full liberty to obviously make all these changes. So now it has gone about uh, filling in all the things which thinks is relevant, and it is super fast, by the way. While it is making the presentation, you can actually start presenting it if you really were to do that. So okay. Now, there are several ways we can further engage with it. So once it has fully created, you can go back to any particular slide here, to all of these slides here. And by the way, this has also become possible in Microsoft PowerPoint now. There also you can pretty much make something like this. Only limitation is that it just gives you the presentation rather than giving you this ability to also change. In fact, let me show you that also, so, because I'm sure PowerPoint is something that most of you will have anyways. So let's do a small demo there. Okay, so let's make a new one. So here the co-pilot feature which has now come up, it basically allows you to make all these presentations. So let's create a presentation about impact of climate change in public. In India. Again, I'll be giving it very super simple instruction. Pretty much does the same thing. You have little less control on the outlining bit here as you had in the previous one. So again, let's go back to the presentation which it had made. So here you will see that in each of the slides, you can pretty much come and change the text the way that you want. You can come and change the picture that way you want. So what see the fundamental way in which it has been helping me at least is, typically I would start the blank presentation, and that is something that all of you can relate, that uh, whole deal with sitting with something blank and then, you know, brainstorming and putting your mind around, and that taking quite a bit of time in the initial period as well, where here you start with a framework already. And that's a big leap, I'll say, for when it comes to knowledge work. That's a super big leap because you have something and then you interact with it, then you make it. So you essentially end up saving quite a bit of your time here. Now, this is something that PowerPoint has quickly been able to make uh, almost similar to what Gamma was making. And this we will see will become an absolute mainstream thing already, as in pretty much everybody will have access to something like this, and you'll be essentially making a presentation will not really be that big a deal anymore, which means that now the essence of the presentation, what you really want to present, the core part of it becomes so very super important. From that perspective, let's take you to a tool where the core thinking bit of it, where you actually create some intellectual value for your audience, that comes in. So for that, so there are several tools again, but let me go back to the this one here, which where the prompts. So it is brainstorm. So we'll do some little bit of brainstorming to show how you can really raise the intelligence level of any kind of work that you're doing and report that you're making. So how do you improve the livelihood of small and marginal farmers? Now, this one is not an easy question to answer because, as we all know in social sciences, this is a classic example of a wicked problem, right? Which doesn't have a straight away solution. Now, here I'll show you something which will be again, if you have not seen this, this will take you by a huge surprise. Um, so there are ways in which you can take a statement like this and really draw upon some of the finest minds who have ever lived and use that to elevate the quality of your work. Let me give you an example. So this here is Socrates. Yeah, I'm sure all of you know who Socrates is. Now, this is probably the first time in human history that we are able to really have a good quality, uh, I will say, a very logical conversation with somebody who is long past dead. But it and the logic behind it is very simple. There's this platform here is called character.ai. You'll be very surprised that globally, when it comes to the websites which people visit to use AI, number one is ChatGPT. Number two is character.ai. Again, something which is not very well known in outside tech sectors, I believe. Amazing website. You have all sorts of chatbots here. They're business coaches, physics coaches, maths coaches, all kind of things. But I wanted to give you a demo of this. And by the way, I have not trained at this also right now. So this is just pure raw demonstration which I'm sharing with you. So for example, let me just put this question: how to improve the license of small and marginal farmer? Those of you who are in this field of education and livelihood, give it a serious watch. This is something that will be very exciting to you. Okay, so Socrates says, firstly, what do you believe is the biggest obstacle to the livelihood of small and marginal farmers? Are you seeing what's happening here? For the Probably for the first time, you have a companion for your mind, literally, somebody who will push you to think deeper. And this is obviously available for free. It is there on the internet. You can use it any time of the day. Typically, you will ask this question, let's say, to your senior, to your boss. You'll get this response also with a sense of sarcasm that you're too stupid to answer this kind of questions yourself sometimes, right? Uh, I and when I see this kind of things, I just really wonder what really happens to the organizational hierarchy that we have had. People who you go to for answers. Uh, in fact, recently, somebody has shared a meme where a girl had put up a notice in her chair saying, "First ask ChatGPT. If it can't answer you, then come to me." We are moving to that world, and we are moving to that world very, very quickly. So, anyways, let's have a little bit more conversation with Socrates here. Firstly, what do you believe is the biggest obstacle in the livelihood of small and marginal farmer? Okay. So let's say access to information and resources. Let's say. And why do you believe they don't have access to these things? And again, it will make you think first order, second order, third order. I mean, it will really all the way take you down to the first principles and whatever problem you're working in, again, the quality of it. So I use it a lot for any kind of conceptual learning, and which is something I believe is super critical, especially in social sector domain. Um, can anybody from the audience help me to answer Socrates' question? Why do you believe they don't have access to these things? Can I get something from you? Because I just want you to know that I'm not making it up. This is a real tool, and this has there's some real conversation happening here. So just give me any words. Prerak, if you can help me with something here.
Poverty, because of poverty and illiteracy.
Okay. Two major reasons for this is one, poverty, and two, illiteracy. What
Due
do you
to
think?
lack of information
because they don't have
awareness.
collective bargaining power.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I got two. So let me put all of that. Literacy. Then three, lack of information. And Ritika, you were saying something. Can you just repeat that again?
Lack of collective bargaining power.
Hmm. True. Collective bargaining power. Okay. Now let's see what Socrates has to say about that. And when it says Socrates, it essentially means whatever is there available on the internet of Socrates or about Socrates, it has taken all of that and trained the bot to respond in such a way as if Socrates would have responded, because it sort of knows the thinking mind of Socrates. So that's how it's able to respond like this. And by the way, these are bots which you guys can build, not just Socrates. You can build any person that you want. You can build APJ Abdul Kalam, Gandhiji, and it's just not that complicated as well. Uh, why is it that these two communities are poor and uneducated? Where is the poverty stemming from? Okay, so it will keep going ahead with this kind of a further probing for you, so that when so you can use it as an aid to your presentation making. It will really help you sort of prepare for all kind of scenarios, questions that can come. In fact, another way which you can think of utilizing this particular tool is um, sorry, this ability of AI is to really help you think critically and think deeply is this is something like a cloud, which I was telling you I was using till 5 in the morning today, because it was just something new has come up here and it's super exciting. Let me also give you a very, very amazing demo here, and this is like not even 1 day old technology. Can you believe that? Okay, so let me put um this same question here. How to improve the livelihood of farmer and marginal farmer? Uh, Also, give me a report by studying all the documents you have on this topic and present them to me as an easily navigable dashboard. This is something that has come recently, it has come yesterday. This entire ability of an LLM to make a dashboard, right? Okay, and so you're looking for information on improving the livelihood of small and marginal farmer as a very comprehensive report. So he's saying first there are some key strategies for improving the livelihood of small and marginal farmer. Access to credit, financial services, improved agriculture technologies, market access, diversification of income sources, land reform, education. It has covered quite a bit. On the right side, you see something is going on, which is this computer coding technology stuff. Don't be worried about it. It is you're just able to see what's happening under the hood. Uh, Especially those of you who have kids. We have in the AI community we are saying that people don't need to learn coding anymore. Just look at the amount of coding which is happening here in order to create that dashboard for you. And now this is the dashboard. Hmm? So this is something which is super new. Just came yesterday. So financial service, agriculture technology, market access, income diversification. It has really, sort of made it into a dashboard for you already. The code is available. You can use this code to build something of your own. You can pass it on to your technology team if you're trying to, build a nice little report where you can interact with in-house. This one obviously is something which is publicly available. Now, this kind of interaction, this kind of, I'll say, very rich interactions, and slowly, what the mathematical component of this entire LLMs is also improving at a very tremendous pace. Right now, one question which some of you had asked me in the survey also, that hallucination is a big problem. Yes, it is. But will this remain a very big problem going forward? Not really, because this is what entire AI community is working on, how to remove this hallucination. And one of the biggest reasons for hallucination is, and by the way, it is the same reason why humans hallucinate. You would have seen, right? At least some of the younger kids, or even us, even the senior folks, the middle level folks, we all make mistakes, right? You typically make mistakes if you go to the deep logic of it, is because you don't know what you don't know, right? There is huge amount of knowledge out there. Some of us, are self-aware. We know that okay, हमें नहीं पता है, but many a times we bluff that we know this answer, but we don't know. It's exactly the same that's happening with LLMs. Slowly, it will obviously keep getting more and more intelligent, because that's what everybody is working on, and you'll be able to have these kind of reports which you can numerically rely on. Today, it's 80 to 90% there in most cases, except the scientific calculations and all of that. But definitely it's getting better. So again, there are these kind of conversations you can have to improve the quality of your work when it comes to documentation and stuff. One also very important thing which you can do with it to improve the quality of your work is, and when I first saw this, uh, I think I was smiling for the next 4 to 5 days because I'm somebody who's always been very curious, and I love studying things, and I love studying different things. But one limitation which I always had was that I found it very hard to read research papers. And I think not just me, I mean, most people do, until unless we are really blessed with a very high IQ. Reading a research paper is not everybody's cup of tea. So when I saw this tool here called Humata, it essentially reads research papers, or it reads any kind of PDFs for you. But for me, the most beautiful thing here was that the way it lets you interact with the document. For example, here, what I did it for this demo, I took out a research paper on the field of education. And you can pretty much upload anything here, PPT, docs, anything, and you can start talking to it. You can do it in ChatGPT also, but the best part of being able to use this particular tool is, let's give a demo. So if you see the screen here, on the left side, it's a chat window, right? You can talk to things. On the right side, you have the actual research paper, right? So this is an entire research paper, which is some 11 pages long, right? Pretty dense. Look at the topic: a Socratic playground for learning, powered by large language model, just went above our heads. Now, I think again, this is probably the first time in human history when all of us in this room have an ability to read something, no matter how difficult it is. And I'll tell you how. Explain this research paper to me as if I am a 5-year old. Let's make it super rudimentary. This is, by the way, a good way to start thinking, learning from first principles. Which is, if some of you are fans of Richard Feynman, you would know he says that if you can really teach something to a 5-year old, that's when you know that you really know it. Otherwise, we're just bluffing. So this is a very good heuristic to have in mind when you are learning something. So it says this paper talks about a special computer system called SPL that helps students learn better by talking to them like a teacher. The computer system uses a smart technology called GPT-4 to have conversation with students and help them think better. So at least the second part is definitely something which I'll say, a school kid can understand. Essentially, it's talking about a technology which lets you talk to a computer. It's like having a smart. Now here is the 5-year old part. It's like having a smart friend who teaches you in a fun way. The student who tried it liked it, and they also said it could be more like talking to a real person. The computer system is learning to be more friendly and fun to talk. Okay. All right. Can you explain this in Hindi, please? Because maybe I do not know English, right? मुझे हिंदी में जानना है, मुझे तमिल में जानना है, मुझे तेलुगु में जानना है. We are also moving to a world where language, you guys, will not any longer be a barrier to knowledge, irrespective of. In fact, there's something that uh, it's called providence. Shiv had messaged me today some time back that he's thinking, is this some friend of his is thinking, can we really go to the tribal population and give them a tool through which they can, get access to good quality education in their own language. And I was, I was feeling so happy because this is exactly what I was also thinking, and I've been thinking for a very long time. So it is saying, ये अनुसंधान पत्र एक विशेष computer system, what is doing right now? It is using this proper literary Hindi. So one good thing which I found here is you can also ask, and ChatGPT, by the way, is very smart in all this kind of thing. Let me in fact show you through that, because that will be a more interesting demo. So I go to ChatGPT. Sorry, this is not ChatGPT per se, but something else I have to demo for you. This is more ChatGPT, and let me. Okay, so this is the Bhagavad Gita. Now let me upload the Bhagavad Gita, and you can upload pretty much any book, research paper, any kind of stuff here, and you can get start talking with it. ChatGPT obviously is super intelligent. Uh, I will say second most super intelligent, because now cloud is there and it is more intelligent than even ChatGPT now. So we'll also ask cloud to have this little conversation with Bhagavad Gita and tell us what it can. Okay, just hold on. So I also want to show you the difference in the quality of intelligence that these tools have. Okay. For some reason, I'm not able to see the file here. Anyways, let's give it this research paper to me. No problem. So for GPT, we will ask, can you please take up the role of a good Hindi teacher and explain the core concepts of the book to me in simple English, so that it's a mixture of Hindi and English. I wonder whether you have a similar version of this in Tamil and Malayalam, where you mix Hindi and we mix English and Malayalam and English and Tamil, Telugu. I think in cities we tend to do that. So I really enjoy talking to it in English, for example, because I'm a Hindi speaker. You can use obviously Malayalam plus English. I don't know what you call it, but you can use that. But this is a very nice way to do that. The core concept of book to me in simple English. Also throw in some images to go with it, because I'm a visual learner. So many of us. In fact, I've always been a visual learner. It was very difficult for me in school because everything was text, text, text. I remember so much more when I'm learning visually. Perhaps the reason why I love building stuff using AI, because it's all visual in nature. So you have all kinds. Some students are there who learn by listening more. So AI can again be a super amazing tool to address different kind of learning needs that we have. Okay, so in simple English, but it didn't really listen to me, did it? Honey, it listened to me. It did. Dharma means duty or राइटेशन. हर इंसान का एक स्पेसिफिक ड्यूटी होता है लाइफ में जो उसे फॉलो करना चाहिए. फॉर एग्जांपल, एक स्टूडेंट का धर्म है कि वो अच्छे से पढ़ाई करे. Right? So it is then explaining the entire book to you about what is dharma, karma, yoga, yog, maya, all of that, right? Images some here are not coming well, so I'll ask you to stop here and then say, uh, show me an image you have generated. Make it an infographic to explain the concept of dharma to someone who doesn't know about it, right? And in social sector, I understand that we love making infographics for our different presentations to funders and all that. So there's a very amazing tool that has come now where you can create all these amazing infographics and also edit the text so that you don't really have to struggle with it. So we will try to do that. In the meantime, okay. So this is the infographic which has come. What is dharma? Everybody is duty or at least. So right now the issue with ChatGPT, that the DALI tool to make image here is it makes uh, mistakes in making this text. Right now, it's not very good at it. In fact, much better than before, but still on the way. So what you can do is you can take this thing on Canva and there use a feature called grab text. I will not go there because it will actually take a lot of time, but it's good to note those of you who use Canva. You can take this image. Every text you see here, you can go and type your own stuff by deleting this particular text. Uh, so that's again a very powerful use case. Takes a lot of time for you. If I'm making something like this, it will take so much time. But now that's gone. Coming back to here, so this one, the research paper here. Now, can you explain the core concept of this research paper to me in a mind map? Do you guys use my mind map? I really love mind maps. It's sort of, again, I'm a visual learner, so mind maps really help you see the overview of a concept and then really understand something very complicated very, very quickly. Ignore all the coding that is going around here. Don't get scared. This is something which increasingly you will realize that literally everybody in the room here is a software engineer in a way. So uh, slowly we'll all get used to this new reality of being able to code, being able to write our own websites and all of that. So right now there's some issue with it, some unsupported libraries, some work needs to be done here. Um, if not mind map, can you do a simple flowchart which explains the paper to me? I am not an expert at this, so please keep it simple and easy to understand. It's usually very good to be very humble with your AI. Keep telling it about your limitations so that it gives you the best possible answer. Yeah. Don't try to overpower it because you cannot. Uh, okay, that is beautiful. This is something again I like how it works. It is saying. So it is saying. Just let me see if I can get it into the full screen here. Okay. I can download it here and then study it more carefully. Again, this is 1 day old technology. This is how it looks like by the way. Yesterday it was this long. Anyway, they're saying they are talking about something called an SPL system, which has some key features, which is interactive conversations, adapt to learners' responses, which is exactly what I was talking about. This is super amazing technology. Adapting to a learner's response is something which was a huge problem of engineering, which has now slowly being solved now. Almost there. Covers multiple subject area, evaluation के लिए tested with essay writing task. So how did they evaluate it? So they gave it some essay writing task, gathered user feedback. Future में क्या होगा? Improve reason, response speed, enhance subject specific teaching. They are essentially building a customized teaching tool. And this, without reading the paper now, you largely get the system architecture view of what things are. And uh, I mean, you would know if you have been in this job, you know just how much painful, time-consuming task that it has accomplished in a few seconds here, right? So yeah. What I'll also do is, because I have been blabbering around for a very long time, I'll pause a little bit here. Uh, and my goal was, to take you to the depths rather than just take you all over the place, because there's just too much stuff to show. I'm probably 10% done at what all I had to show you, but I know I'll have to limit myself. Any kind of questions anybody wants to ask here? Happy to take a few questions. You also give me a little bit.
Sabir, I think there are a couple of questions around data protection and privacy itself, right? So when you
Yeah.
start using any of the AI tool, specifically in this context of social impact space, I think a lot of time it is very sensitive as well, right? So whenever you
Yeah.
use it on the web, does it become public or does it get compromised in any way, or how does that work?
So there are two ways to go about it. See, one is the pure thinking and intelligence part of it, the conversation we were having with Socrates, for example, or any kind of conversation which I showed you so far. So this was more as an aid to your cognition. That is I don't think there's any threat to security here. When it comes to, let's say, putting up some sort of a knowledge asset which your organization has in some of the public products, you should not do that. But then, for example, now that I showed you this PowerPoint Copilot, so those are enterprise uh, protected softwares which you have. So when you, for example, let's do an Excel sheet, and you by the way, MS Excel has now gotten Copilot, and now you can do advanced level of dashboard making in MS Excel as well. I can actually show you this. So there you're not too worried about. So what the future is going to look like, because see, this is so new right now. Uh, in future, I think pretty much every organization will have its enterprise LLM, the way you have enterprise Microsoft Office or enterprise SRP, ERP, and SAP and all of that. Uh, Pretty much you'll have that, and then you'll be able to obviously without any worry talk to your data, in a safe environment. Uh, in fact, that is something that for example, I'm building something on those lines for the FMCG industry. Pretty much that's what people are doing right now in terms of ensuring that that safety is there. But right now, if you say just right away, I mean all this Chat GPT and Cloud Gemini, do not put up your organizational data there for sure. You should not. You should put this more for cognitive tasks and for taking help there. So about the Excel thing which I was telling you, so this is how it looks like, So we have this particular data, right? It's an Excel table. So what you are able to generate here is something like this dashboard. So I just put the prompt here, add all insights to grid, and it was able to make all this kind of a dashboard. And it takes just a few seconds here, as in not much of a time. So you kind of select this database that you have, and you can ask it for data insights, or you can ask it to again add all insights to grid. That's the normal terminology which Excel has employed for this right now. And you should be able to do that pretty much here and also in Google Docs. So pretty much in all Google Docs, you have the ability now to do summary insights. So there, I don't think you have to worry about because these are already enterprise edition softwares. Where the worry comes is with these public tools, and that you should be worried about. Any other questions that we have? It's saying I have
I think
added.
there is one more from Binali where she was
Hmm.
asking whether some of these tools are disabled friendly or not.
So, for example, Cloud, I just noticed it yesterday that they had this option where it could read aloud for you. Just let me show you. Just let me show you. And these are again, guys, these are slowly, getting built in, but great, lovely question. Something, I could have only expected in a session like this, with professionals in the social space. So Cloud, for example, here has a feature called dyslexic friendly. Chat GPT will typically have this feature where you can read it aloud here, for example.
Here is the infographic explaining the
It can
concept.
read it to you. The next big iteration that is coming in LLMs is you will have empathetic voice, so it will be able to understand the emotion in your voice. But I think, and for visually impaired, I think most laptops today have this feature where it's visually impaired friendly. So I think, but this is something which needs to be built more and more, especially for Indian context. A lot more work to be done here for sure. Any other questions? So I'll maybe take a little bit while. So what I'll do quickly is give you some more very, very useful demos, which will again add a lot of value to you guys. Let's say we take some podcast, podcast on social impact in India. It could apply to any YouTube video. I'm just taking a podcast just because it's easy. So let's say let's take any here. Let me take this one. It's a TEDx talk, those just 15 minutes. You can take full 4 hour, 5 hour talks like this, and go to this tool called summarize.tech, and you can just paste the URL of that particular podcast and do a submit, and you get a summary of the entire. So this could also be a 4 hour podcast, right? So I'll give you one example, in fact. So I'm not bluffing. So I listen to Lex Friedman a lot. I really love his podcast. Let's see. So for example, here is uh, by the way, I'm going to show you a demo of the tool built by this gentleman here. We should all be very proud of him. He studied in IIT Madras and
Can
built this
you
amazing tool, which is now giving competition to Google. How can you believe that? He's not even 30 right now. So this is a 3 hour podcast here. I come to summarize.tech and I just put the URL and I get an entire summary of the presentation, of all the thing which was discussed here in different moments of the podcast. What I typically do is I can also take this up and copy this and then go to any of the LLMs. I typically use Cloud a lot more than ChatGPT. I find it to be smarter and summarize this for me in keywords in bullet points. also tell me something you believe is scientifically not accurate in this conversation. This is in keeping with the theme which we had, right? That do we falsify things wherever we are using AI? Can we really push it to also, keep us involved into, our mind about can how do you doubt things? Because right now the issue is we give something to ChatGPT, gives an answer, you're like, "Yes, I believe you." Whereas your first reaction has to be, "I do not believe you." You know why? Because of this. It says right on the front page, ChatGPT can make mistakes. Check important info. People are not doing that. People are like whatever ChatGPT is saying is the word of God. So doubt that. Definitely doubt that. So keep asking it. What are the limitations? What could be better here? So that will really help you. So it is now giving me, for example, this entire 4-hour podcast in saying all of this. Perplexity used to regularize in internet search by providing accurate answer. Company combines search and image language to generate well-formatted answer. In fact, while we are talking about Perplexity, I will show you Perplexity also because this is a very powerful tool for social research. Perhaps the most powerful that I can think of. And if you're not using it, you should definitely start using it right away. So, the one big difference which Perplexity has over something like a Google is one, it gives you answer to a question rather than you just giving you links, but at the same time, it allows you to have all these citations, which is so important in secondary research, right? So, let's say if I had kept this question for it, potential impact of change in nature of funding for the social sector organization in India and innovative blend. So let's say we put this question to Perplexity. This is the question which Prerak had very kindly shared with us. So I have asked this question. I'll just put it more as a question comment. What is the potential impact of and this is, by the way, it's a live tool. It speaks to the internet. It's a search engine, right? It's connected to the internet. Search innovative blending financial open close market for ESG social exchange. Okay. Also explain to me the concept of a social stock exchange. That is, I don't know about this. So it can do two things for you. It can obviously answer questions for you at the same time, find out the right kind of stuff to go on the internet and search. So here is a detailed response. The potential impact of innovative blended financing for social sector, increased access to capital, and then all the citations are here. You can go and actually check for yourself whether this is actually true or not. Improved risk return, increased focus. And the one thing which I really like, somebody, let's say, I have to share this with a friend. So when I go to share, and so just a moment here. Yeah, okay, it's here, here. So if I copy the link and let's say I go to a WhatsApp and sort of put it for a friend of mine, or just put it to a notes here. So the good part here is, sorry, again. Hmm. Sorry, this will make I myself forgot. I should be I should not be working till 5 in the morning, I guess. Uh, so what happens here in this case is that you get all the citations, which is so precious, no? All of the citations neatly organized. This is amazing use case of using a very powerful search engine which gives you answers straight away. So this is obviously a very good quality answer here. Well, I asked you what is the concept of social exchange. It told me the social stock exchange is a novel concept introduced in India to this, etc. And then it is going ahead and also giving you explanation, all the citations for your work. So again, coming back to the earlier hypothesis, is it making you a more productive individual? You tell me. I've been going about it for an hour now. Do you think this will make you more productive or not? And this was all largely, whatever I've shared so far was for work. Any questions that we have at this stage?
Shabir, I have a two-part question. But before that, let me thank you for this beautiful presentation and your great initiative. I think it will definitely help, especially in our sector. So first thing is, how do we manage plagiarism if we are using content directly from ChatGPT or any of these platforms? So how do we tackle the issue of plagiarism? And second, does all these things, all these uh, options, they provide source of information also, which can be used?
Yeah, yeah. When I say citation, I mean the source of information. So let's say you click on this link, it will take you directly to the actual website. So you can check it for yourself. So,
Okay.
it really reduces the whole time for you to do research. You don't know where to find what. Google simply gives you link here. You get context. For example, you got context. Limited participation of domestic philanthropic capital. The involvement of Indian Philanthropic Foundation and CSR fund in blended finance has been relatively limited. So it tells you this is the thing, and you can find it here. So that's when it becomes super powerful. On the plagiarism things, frankly speaking, sort of a mental model shift is required. At least in the kind of work which I do, plagiarism doesn't exist because you can't build something by plagiarizing. But if at all it's a concern in your work, so there are tools with you can use to check plagiarism. But then I think the better way to go about it is that uh, can we just look at workflows where it doesn't really matter, if people have, let's say, copy pasted something from the LLM, as long as it is answering the core question, it is solving the problem. I know it's a big leap to say, but frankly speaking, we are moving to a time where it will be impossible for you to check plagiarism. Because let's say, I'll give you a small example how it's impossible to check plagiarism. Now, I copied this, I go to ChatGPT, I'll say, okay, take this text and ensure it's not detectable by a plagiarism checker. What do you do in this case? It will come up with a text which will be very difficult for the plagiarism checker because it is evolving, no? It is getting more and more intelligent with time. Then you take this text and go and again paste it on ChatGPT. So there will always be ways for you to sort of, override the system. So I think we have to move to a place where, for example, one of these professors in Wharton University, uh, he says that now he takes exams where he says, come and use ChatGPT, but answer my question. So that's the kind of world we are moving to. In fact, that also reminds me that I had something to show you by that same very professor. So we'll use this question, improve the well-being of the frontline worker, street vendor, gig economy worker, etc. And we'll use this framework finder built by Ethan Maulik, the professor who I was talking about. He's built a very beautiful tool here. So it lets you think from a framework perspective, so to give you all the mental models. So let's put it here. How to improve the well-being of frontline workers, let's say in India. Uh, think like a seasoned social worker, right? Now, what it will do is you take this question and then put it under different frameworks which it has. So, let's say it is first breaking it down into what are the key challenges and goals, who are the stakeholders, current intervention, geographical focus, resource and constraints. And you can keep having this much deeper conversation. Uh, what are there some strategic frameworks you can put to this question beyond the one above? And this is obviously a publicly available tool now. Pretty much everybody can. So now it's saying they will use Maslow's hierarchy of needs framework to study this question. We have a SWOT analysis framework. So all of that, because if you were to use it, it becomes cognitively a big load for you to sort of go about it. But with this kind of tools, then it becomes, because you using question analysis and all of that. So it sort of gives you a lot of depth in the kind of research work you're putting out or the kind of proposal you're putting out. Comes from well-rounded research, which typically gets too difficult in a normal day-to-day scenario. So that is something which again I think super useful. After this, I'll quickly touch upon, and also we are not doing too well on the time front here. So obviously I'll have to skip a large part of my presentation, but whatever I shared, I just really thought it was super useful for you. So I'll just come to the some really important parts here. So Siddhi, can we sort of take 10 more minutes to wrap this?
Please go ahead.
So let me show you some important things. This video came out just a couple of days back. Good to know where the future of intelligence is headed.
These systems are already human level in specific tasks. And of course, in a lot of tasks, they're not. If you look at the trajectory of improvement, systems like GPT-3 were maybe, let's say, toddler level intelligence. And then systems like GPT-4 are more like smart high schooler intelligence. And then in the next couple of years, we're looking at PhD level intelligence for specific tasks. So things are changing and improving pretty rapidly.
So this here is the Chief Technology Officer of OpenAI, very, very well qualified to be able to make such predictions about what kind of intelligence rise that we see in the future. And for those of you, in organizational setup, becomes super crucial, right? When you have intelligence like that available, and the one last one what I showed you was largely the kinds of intelligence which didn't really exist a couple, just 6 months or 1 year back. Now, how do we as organizational leaders, how do we as professionals who impact so many lives, because that's the beauty of the profession which you folks are into, how do you really leverage this to do things or take up problems which were too intimidating earlier? Because this changes so many things, right? So let me also show you something. This is Demis Hassabis. He is the co-founder of Google DeepMind and the person behind a lot of the Google AI work. So I'll quickly tell you what he's telling you. That he's saying we are talking about 2 million token context window where you can literally upload, a book the size of a War and Peace and a 1 hour long video, and the AI will be able to intelligently answer, questions from any part of it. We are talking about, huge context size. You can put up your entire organizational data on AI and to be able to respond in an intelligent way. He's also talking about, building what is now called the next frontier in AI, which is AI agents. So the one difference between AI and AI agent is AI is one-on-one. You ask a question, you get an answer. Agent will have multi-modal reasoning, multi-step, multi-logical reasoning. Uh, we are there are sparks of it already. There are tools where we get to use it. Where you ask it, in fact, I'll give you an example which I had used a multi-modal agent for, an AI agent for. So I asked it, and this was 6 months back. I asked it, I want to advise the Planning Commission of India on building a 5 year plan to make India into a developed country. Now, can you go about and study all the developing countries across the world? Can you read what happened there, what went right, what went wrong, and then come up with a paper for me? I'm not saying, I actually got document per se, but it was so beautiful to see the way it was thinking. Without me telling it said, I think Argentina would be a good case study. Can I go ahead and study whatever I can find on the internet about Argentina? I said, yeah, go ahead, please. Then it said, now or what I'll do is I'll take up a Nordic country because they are pretty good in education. They're pretty good in civic amenities. I said, why? I'm great, go ahead. So then went out to study Zimbabwe on its own. It had so we are talking about multi-chain reasoning, which is the next frontier in AI. So the way we are talking about AI today, I don't think it's a hype at all because 6 months down the line we'll talk about AI agents. Couple of years, 3 years down the line, we'll talk about AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, which is equivalent to AI being similar to us because we are generally intelligent. Right? That's the meaning of AGI. I can drive a car, I can shop, I can take care of my kids, I can teach you all. So I'm generally intelligent. Right? In the same way, today AI is narrow intelligence, but we are moving towards a world where AI will have general intelligence. And then obviously that's not going to be a stop. There will be much more improvements there. So it's very difficult to predict the kind of future we are heading towards, but it's a small hint. So this is something perhaps we can close with a couple of slides here, and I will skip the entertainment part. I think this itself, for me, this was pretty interesting. There's a lot of stuff. I was thinking of showing you tools through which you can make a music of your choice. Quickly you can make, let's say, ask it a folk music or whatever kind of hip hop and all that. You can just do it in a second. You can make a video of a choice, images of a choice. For example, this image you see here is AI generated. I made it in 2 seconds. So all of that, I'm skipping that. You can perhaps some other time you can take it up, but core to talk about this this fundamental shift here that this what is automation? AI is all about automation, right? And we're talking about automation as well. Automation essentially will mean that you don't have to do anything else twice. You do it once, it's sorted. Then you focus on, and this is something Siddhi, I wanted to, especially I put it for you because you showed this concern to me. So I think, we are moving to an age where it will largely be about our creativity, our judgment as humans, what we bring on the table. Whatever can be put into an algorithm, can be automated, will be automated. And that's the whole goal, which at least, we in the semi-tech and tech domain, that's what we intend to do. So that, we can liberate this entire concept in the entire time for you to just focus on, the core of your work, to really solve the big, wicked, bad problems. And there are no dearth of them, right? Especially in the social sector. So with this, I would like to formally close the session. If allowed, we can take a few questions.
No, thanks so much, Shabbir. I think this is extremely interesting. Shiv would also like to come in with some of his thoughts. Shiv?
No thoughts. Thank you, Sharif. Very, very interesting and engaging. Thanks a lot. Do share some of these links. I'm sure people would like to try out.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you for so gracefully sharing all of this knowledge and so energetically. Just wanted to say a big thank you. That's it.
My pleasure. Thank you for the forum, actually.
And Shabbir, because we did go a little bit over time and we had another call. And one of my colleagues, we were just chatting with each other saying that, we're going to join a little late. And one of my colleagues, Tahir, has written that, somebody had left and says, join back. He's showing some more wild stuff. So it has been a wild ride, particularly for many of us who have, really spent late nights doing infographics and graphs and charts and all of that. And wow, I'm just got to take the weekend to think how my life changes because of this. And I hope everybody also feels the same way. So thanks a lot.
Just one little request.
Yes, Shiv.
Yes, so Shiv, go ahead, then I go.
Time over a period of time for all of us, including the Catalyst group. So this is not the end. He's just given you a sampler.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'll also make a little request to the attendants here. See, guys, I'm super fresh into starting Futurelabs. Sort of really trying to, at least when it comes to AI literacy, I really want to put up work at scale, because I think we as a country, we really need to be on top of AI education. All of us, I mean, professional students. If you can do help me spread the word. I'm there on all the socials. I'm trying to put up stuff there, but it's social media these days are very limiting, because they really want you to buy the ad booster to reach out, which is something I don't want to do. That I want to grow organically. So it would be really helpful if you can share my work on the social medias.
Definitely. Would love to. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you all.